take something with a grain of salt or a pinch of salt, one little pinch, to supersize and grow your business. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this idiom before, but I'm not 100% positive because I did not go back and research my own past work. This is a salt lamp, a Himalayan salt lamp. I've got several of these in my home. I had to move this one because I'm getting new furniture, and I wanted to put it in an area where it would be safe, because I just threw one away. I threw one away. It had weird crystally condensation on it. I'm not sure how it was made, but it always made me nervous. It would leave crystals on the table that it sat on, or I put it on a little coastery pad thing, but I was always afraid the humidity might, cause a spark or something with the electrical outlet part of it, the plug-in part of it. So I stopped using it, but I always have several of them around my house. So what does take something with a grain of salt mean? How can we apply it to supersize and grow and build our business, the business that we're trying to create in the world, or we are creating the world? I don't like to say try. So this idiom, this expression, has actually been around since 77 AD. There's a little bit of controversy over the actual origin of it, because guess what? In 77 AD, they didn't keep super good records and beyond. So, it wasn't until the internet where it became really easy to research things. And that was in the 90s, right? The 1990s, not the 77 AD. It came from Naturalis Historia by Pliny the Elder. I don't know who Pliny the Elder was, but apparently he was a great philosopher and wise man back then. So, basically it means, and it was used in a thread about persons that were poisoned, and that salt could be an antidote to a particular poison. I don't know, he was writing something about remedies and poisons, remedies to poisons. And it came to be said that if you take this poison with a grain of salt, then it will actually not poison you. So it basically means to be skeptical. If you're not sure about something, or if you're saying something and you're sharing something and you're not really sure about the origin of it, then you might tell somebody to take it with a grain of salt. Hey, I heard this on the news, so you might want to take it with a grain of salt. I heard this by the water cooler talking to John, so not sure if it's true or not, but you might want to be prepared and take it with a grain of salt in case this project does come to pass, etc. Or maybe you're talking about layoffs or raises or whatever it could be. This idiom basically has a skeptical attitude. It started to be used as a pinch of salt in about the 20th century to mean kind of no worries, no problem, take it with a grain of salt. Here's some information, not sure how accurate it is, but I'm going to share it anyway. How often do people do that? Like every single day. We hear something and then we pass it on. We hear something and we pass it on. Or we say something and we say, hey, did you hear this? I heard this. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm taking it with a grain of salt because I have no idea if it's true or not. I have no idea. One's considering the source, and I don't really know the source. How much of our news media is just spit out there these days, and we have no idea what the actual source is. According to confidential sources within the organization, or according to confidential sources in the government, holy buckets, doesn't that make us just want to, the hairs of the back of your neck want to stand up? So what does it mean, and how do we apply it to our business? I say, number one, doubt the truth or validity of something unless you have a way to verify that information, or you have firsthand knowledge or information about that. Somebody might say, well, in our business, in this industry, we do X, Y, Z. And you might be like, okay, well, I know 4 other players in that industry and with similar businesses, and none of them do that. So you might want to take what that person's saying with a grain of salt. It reminds us to think for ourselves no matter what. No matter what we hear, or how many times we hear it, or how loud someone's screaming at us, it doesn't mean it's true. Think about what people tell you about yourself, and they have no idea. People will tell you all kinds of things about yourself, or how they perceive you, or what they think about you, but that has nothing to do with you. My favorite sayings is, what you think about me is none of my business, because we'll always, if we're making any ripples in the world at all, have people that don't like us, people that actually hate us, people that actually want to destroy us. I don't know, that seems to be the thing nowadays is with social media, it's easy to destroy people. So people think that that is their little sense of power by saying and doing mean things, whether they're true or not. All right, so we're going to think for ourselves. We're going to do our due diligence. We're going to do research before we make any decisions or choices or further comments on a topic. We're going to verify it. We're going to do what we can to dig in and find out whether something is true or not before we ever take any action on that thing. We're going to research. We're going to do our due diligence. We are going to do background checks or whatever we need to do to find out the actual truth and source behind information that we're relying on to make decisions. And then if we do our due diligence and we have a relative our certain level of confidence in the information, then we may choose to act on it. But we're going to put safeguards in place, right? We're going to have contracts. We're going to have insurance. We're going to ask legal. We're going to, seek out advisors and legal advice before we make different decisions that are going to impact our business, especially on information that is sketchy at best. One of my favorite all-time books and topics is How to Lie with Statistics, because people lie with statistics all the time, or they take things and they call them statistics and they mold them to fit their narrative, their story of how they want to present information. I would say, as a quality director in several organizations, it was my job to take the information and present it in a way that was understandable and made sense. And I, like so many others, would pick and choose what information, what numbers, what statistics I was going to share based on what our organization wanted to present to people, what information we wanted to share. We never share all the information. We share the pertinent information to the audience that we're sharing information to. And I learned through that 25 years in corporate America plus that you could take any information and twist it and turn it and present it in ways that sold your story, whether the actual scientific studies or statistics that other people were reporting on represented what you were saying or not. We see this in the pharmaceutical industry all the time. We see this in FDA. I hate to say that, but we see it in a lot of government agencies where information is reported and presented by the people that are seeking approval of that information. Really scary, by the way. So, curious if you've used this idiom, if you've used this expression. I definitely have used it. I will continue to use it. I think it's a great idiom. It's a great way of saying, hey, I'm not sure about this information, so we better do our homework. Or I'm not sure where you got that. And I'll ask people right out. They'll say something. I'll be like, well, where did you get that information? And if they say the news, any framework, any, political philosophy, nowadays, I would just stop and say, all right, it's time to do more research and more homework. And it's not just Googling it to verify a piece of information. It's not just, doing that. You have to find ways to actually find out if it's true or not, because there's so much misinformation in the world right now. All right, have an awesome day. This was our last communication day for communication-related idioms to coincide with this year's BU 365-day challenge. Next month, we're going to hop into something different. I've not decided yet what I'll be doing here with respect to idioms, but I'm sure you'll know tomorrow. So will I. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. Bye. Don't take that with a grain of salt.